A growing online conversation has put the spotlight on race relations after numerous people, including several Indian creators and community members, shared their perspectives on prejudice toward Black people.
I wasn't going to stitch this video because I've made many videos talking about racism in our community. But I've seen a lot of stitches on this video and Indian people saying, well, it's not all Indian people. Yeah, we know that, Black people know that, but it's a lot of us. So they are valid to say Indian people are racist. And can you honestly tell me, how would your family react if they know you're dating a Black person? I also saw someone say, well, Black people are racist to us too. Two wrongs don't make a right, but I'm also having a hard time believing that you know that many Black people. And you're probably just making this assumption from like two Black people that were nice to you. So like, well, they're racist to us too. We as Indian people need to acknowledge how we are wrong and apologize and change. We literally have come through apartheid together and somehow we're still divided. It doesn't make sense.
Rather than focusing on a single incident, the discussion featured personal stories, workplace experiences, dating expectations, family attitudes, and everyday interactions that many participants said reflected a deeper problem.
One day when the country is free of corruption, when we are ready to talk, when you are ready to sit down and talk about real-time issues that we are facing, we'll be able to sit down and talk about the amount of racism that most Indian people have towards Black people. This might not be a popular opinion, but I know whoever's watching this video knows what I'm talking about. This thing has been going on for the longest time and people are not addressing it. Instead, we sweep it under the carpet. But it's been going on for the longest time. And I'm not talking about just the recent incidents that happened in Phoenix, the Phoenix massacre or anything. I'm talking about a lot of things. It's been happening for the longest time. How many times have you met one of your brother or sister or auntie or even your neighbor who works for Indians or who works in Makishini or my Indians? How many times have you heard them talk about how evil they are? How badly they treat Black people? How much they see us as slaves or animals instead of human beings? This thing hasn't been addressed in South Africa for the longest time. People don't want to talk about it. I don't know, maybe it's because of the affiliation that the government has or the former government, as they said, has with certain Indian businessmen and business people. But we need to start addressing this situation. I'm talking about a lot of things. Even in religion, ask our fellow Black brothers who decided to take Islam as their religion. Ask them how the treatment is from their fellow brothers in Islam who are Indians. Ask them about the treatment. Ask them about how much most Indian people would rather pay you through food, last week's food, instead of giving you like money, like as in real money. Ask anybody who works for Indian people how much racist they are. One day we'll be able to sit down and discuss that issue, that dilemma. We'll be able to talk about that disease, the hatred that most Indian brothers and sisters have for fellow Black people. Like, I really don't understand this. I don't know. History people will correct me if I'm wrong. But as far as history books are concerned, Black people, Indian people, colored people, we were all the same in the eyes of the oppressor, our former apartheid government. We were all the same. So I don't understand why most Indian people will be racist towards Black people, because we are the same, guys. They've got the K word, we've got the K word. You know? So I don't understand why they need to be racist towards Black people. It's appalling. It's distasteful. It's crazy.
Black people already had a hard enough time getting into engineering, but because of not only the low cost labor from India, but also the colorism that we have in India, it's creating an even greater barrier for Black people in engineering. Whole teams will be Indian, and India is quite colorist. And we already were dealing with the racism that we have institutionally in America. So I want to understand what is the barrier. I want to understand what Indians, especially in engineering, think of working with Black people. Because honestly, I'm not having a great time working with Indians?
Most of the racism that I've actually experienced since coming to Canada has been from Indians.
Actually,
Unfortunately,
to be honest.
that's the reality. I'm so sorry. I know that they are one of the people that the general public, most of the general public in Canada are on right now. But to be very real and unfiltered, Indians and racism towards black people is insane. There was a day that I had ordered for food, and then the name on the order was an English name, and then the DoorDash got here, met me, and then said, "Oh, is your name this name?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Oh, you don't look like it." And then I swear to God, he called head office to confirm that if there's,
What did you do? Tell me. What did
I
you do?
reported.
Of course.
I called and reported.
What do you mean?
They refunded my money.
What do you mean you don't?
And they were like, they're going.
Some speakers acknowledged that these attitudes exist within parts of the community and argued that avoiding the conversation only allows the issue to continue.
I find it really hypocritical how Indians and South Asians will talk about prejudice they experience by white people and then turn around and take that same discriminatory energy and use it against black people. I know it happens. I grew up hearing it. So let's talk about how you are so eager to fit in that you would rather appease those who oppress you than support other oppressed groups. You know what that smells like? Desperation for acceptance. And the sad part is, no matter what you do, no matter how hard you work to blend in, you will still be seen as an other.
So what's up with you? What's your name?
Anand, can I see your ID or something?
No, I mean, you can call the police or I can call the police. Can I see your ID?
Yeah.
Let me see your ID.
Yeah. Take out your ID and I'll take out my ID.
Let me take out your ID and I'm going to take out my ID.
Okay, let's... can you get my phone? No, let's call the police. Give me a phone, let's call the police.
I'm in my own neighborhood where I live at, working in my neighborhood by my house, and I have this man asking me, do I live here?
Yes.
And what's your name?
Dude.
I'm going to start a civil lawsuit right now. That's what I'm going to do.
Absolutely. You got to do it, man. But I want
What's your name, man? Because I'm walking in the neighborhood where I live at, and I'm getting harassed.
No, wait. He's unnecessarily playing us.
But we took my off. Okay, so before I started my series, I wanted to tackle this question right here. A lot of Indians don't like black people because if you have a baby with a black guy, they think how dark it will come out. And in my case, this is true. So my family always called me dark growing up. Mind you, I'm not that dark, but my mother is darker than me. My father is lighter than me. So of course, then you get me. But apparently I'm still dark. So when I was pregnant with my son, all my mom would say is how dark my child was going to be. Now, when he was born, when you look at the top of a newborn's earlobe, you'll see what color they're going to be, basically. Their pigmented earlobe basically tells you how dark or how light the child is. So what she said was, he's going to be so dark, look at his ear. I was like, huh? I didn't get it until later that she thought that because of his ear, he's going to be dark. And well, anyway, colorism is a big issue in India, and that could be why they don't really like the intermingling with black people. Now, that being said, my mom did remarry after my parents divorced, and she did marry a white guy, and my sister is half white, so she's super, super bright. So, yeah.
So as a Guyanese West Indian woman, I actually just wanted to add my 2 cents on this because growing up back home, my family was one of 2 Indian families in a predominant black village. And we were always taught to, respect our elders, regardless of the skin tone. You respect everyone around you. My best friends were black. We went to school with everyone who were black. And I don't think my grandpa even really knew why he did not want, you were allowed to be besties. His best friends were black, our neighbors were black. When we kill our animals for Christmas time, we don't feed half the village. But he always used to preach, you never marry a black person. And I don't think we really truly knew why we felt that way. Obviously now looking back, slavery, because we were the lighter skinned slaves, the slaves that came from Africa were meant to feel that we were superior to them because of our skin tone. But a slave is a slave is a slave is a slave. And all of my aunts and uncles later went on to marry a black man or woman. And so all my cousins are, you know, biracial or Dougla for the Guyanese people. That's what we call a biracial person. You're Dougla. And so I don't think he fully knew why he was supposed to feel that way, but he did. And I mean, like I said, all of my cousins are mixed, except for me. My mom married a Guyanese Indian person. So, you know, but I mean, even as a Guyanese Indian person, I'm like 12% black. So the mixture happened, whether we liked it or not. But it was just interesting for me because I never felt like it was racially profiling back home. You know, we break bread with them. We invite everyone over. We have parties. We sit down, we congregate with them, we go to their weddings, they come to our weddings. Like, you know, we were very much immersed in each other's cultures. And so it never felt like the North American version of racially profiling someone or racism. It never felt that way. But of course, you know, it's obviously still a version of that to say that you can be best friends with them and, you know, we can grow up our entire lives with them. But, oh, you can't marry that person because they're black. I don't think it ever really had anything to do with, you know, your skin tone. Because especially in Guyana, like, it's a Caribbean country. It's very hot. Everyone have some level of melatonin going on. I think we just have to thank slavery for that. You know, thank the white people for conditioning us and putting us to fight against each other. Because even to this day, the black and the Indians are fighting and we don't know what they're fighting for. But it's just interesting, you know, South American versus North America, how you look at things. So anyways, that's my 2 cents on it.
Others stressed that their criticism was directed at specific behaviors and cultural attitudes, not every individual.
You can just hear the desperate confusion in my brother's voice because it makes no sense. Think about it. You've got 54 countries that comprise Africa. Then you've got India, which is a part of this larger scale, historically, culturally, linguistically connected area that we consider South Asia. And factually speaking, there is this observable phenomenon of this anti-Black, anti-African sentiment within South Asia and within its diaspora abroad. And you don't even have to think that deep to see that it makes zero sense, bro. Watch this. Both regions have suffered a very similar colonial past under the same colonial powers. Both of us are living a very similar colonial present. Over the course of ancient and modern history, there's been so much cultural and economic trade between us. And not to mention, African civilizations have been harboring and giving space for Indians and other Asians to live on their lands since pre-colonial times. I'm not talking about colonial powers taking indentured laborers over there. We have evidence of like shipwrecks of slave ships and Asians and Indians washing up on African shores and staying there ever since. Make it make sense, right? How can South Asians be so uncultured and not recognize these things? Especially NRIs and other South Asian groups. I don't care how many generations you've been living there, but living there and still holding anti-Black, anti-African, this like Indian superiority, African inferiority complex. How dare you? How? And to top it all off, Dravidians, my people, how can we be this way, knowing full well that we are considered in the same category of blackness in our own country? If you've ever been called Galu, Karupu, Koranga, Jungli, Blackie, you know those are the exact same slurs that are used against Africans. In 2017, there was a case of racially motivated assaults against African university students in New Delhi. And here's what this mother had to say about it, right? This is Tarun Vijay, by the way. He used to be a member of the Indian parliament, part of the BJP party. If you know, you know. Okay, here's what he had to say about those attacks to Al Jazeera in an interview. All right, so trying to make the case that Indians can't be racist, he says, if we were racist, why would the entire South, you know, the Tamils, you know, Kerala, Karnataka, and Andhra, why do we live with them? We have black people around us. I don't know what the this bozo was going for. It looks like he was trying to humanize black people somehow, but it just ended up dehumanizing us alongside of them. So like, solidarity, I guess. I wish. If you don't know, phenotypically speaking, just how black Dravidian people can get, because you're looking at me, I don't get enough sun, you haven't seen me in the summertime. Here are some pictures. This is my uncle, my actual uncle, my mom's youngest brother. This is my other uncle. Here's my cousin, the one on the right with his nunba. Well, you can look at both of them for an example. Saving the best for last, here's my dad with me as a baby when he used to have hair. And he used to grow that out much thicker. It used to be a full-on afro. He and my mom met and married in Oman, where I was born. And when they were dating, people used to ask my mom all the time, "நீ அந்த கருப்பான ஒரு சுதானி கூட நீ ஊர் சுத்திட்டு இருக்கிறியே உன்னோட அழகுக்கு நல்லா சகப்பான ஒரு ஆள் கிடைக்குமே." I've asked my dad, how does that make you feel? And he's like, no offense taken, because Sudanese people are beautiful. East Africans are beautiful. And I take that one step further, Africans are beautiful. And no one can be you, and that's why they want control of your bodies. So to continue with the question, if it makes no sense, why is there this anti-African sentiment in our South Asian community? So I asked myself this question. I have no idea where to start to find answers, so I just went to Google and I typed in, why are Indians racist to black people? I did that this morning after seeing the TikTok that I'm stitching, and I found this interview. It's called Africa Holds Up a Mirror to India. It's an interview with Shobana Shankar. She's an associate professor at Stony Brook University in African Studies, and she's being interviewed by Zachariah Mampili. I'm sorry if I mispronounced his last name, I'm not sure. He is a PhD, also a professor at the City University of New York, and also in African Studies. I don't know if I said that already. Oh, and here you go. There's that quote by Tarun Vijay. I urge you to read through this interview in its entirety, but as you can see, a lot of it, especially in the beginning, is focused on Shobana's book, as it says there. It is called An Uneasy Embrace, Africa, India, and the Spectre of Race. I got this book this morning. I finished it in about 5-6 hours because it is an academic book, but man, is it an easy read. It's got citations, it's got references. And yeah, get this book. €12 is what I paid for it to get the ebook. 20 if you get it in paperback. It's a very small price to pay to get your head in the right space to really do the work and undo the mess that we're in. And here are the two biggest takeaways that I got from this book as like the biggest answers that I had for my question, right? First biggest takeaway of mine from this was when I learned about the sheer amount of work that has been done and is still being done today by Afrocentrist intellectuals to expand the theoretical framework of blackness in order to include Dravidian people specifically in it. And that way we can fight together against Indo-pessimism and Afro-pessimism together, which I thought was amazing. A lot of that work was pioneered by the first president of Senegal. His name was Léopold Senghor, excuse me if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. He did extensive research on this. Unfortunately, it did seem to me that it was very one-sided, like it was a lot of work being done by Africans and very few South Asian or Dravidian collaborators in that. And it doesn't even matter if we're, like, there's no data that supports that we come from Africans, because for the time being, there isn't. Just the spiritual concept of that work, of that effort really spoke to me. My second biggest takeaway from this book, and I'll leave you with this, it comes right from the last page of the book. I don't mind giving this away because I think it's super valuable. Shobana Shankar goes ahead and says that Indian anti-blackness is a myth. And it's kind of like, whoa, wait a second. You just spent like 200 and something pages saying that this is a real thing and that we need to work against it. There's been work being done against it and all that, right? How can you say it's a myth? If I'm understanding her correctly, and I hope to God that I am, what she's trying to say is that anti-blackness is not an Indian thing. It's not something that is inherent to the South Asian community. We've learned it from someone, somewhere outside of ourselves. Gee, I wonder who. Professor Shankar goes on to talk about a slew of other things like Hinduism in Africa, the specifically South African problem with Indians, and yeah, just a bunch of other stuff. So please get this book, read it, talk about it in your families. Let's get this in our community. We got to get this in the African community as well. We have a lot of post-colonial chains to break. We specifically are hurting the wrong people. We're hurting ourselves. And yeah, let's work.
So that makes it okay. And people who know better should inflict the same cycles of behaviour. What? I've literally seen black people be racist to Indians too. But that don't mean I'm going to sit here and say it's okay when Indians are racist back to black people. And I'm not denying that some people can be racist in every culture. But I'm not talking about ignorant people here. I'm talking about those of us who know better. I'm talking about the same people who want to scream racism, but continue to remain ignorant. In the context of what I'm speaking about, and to the level of this racism, no argument can justify it. These are innocent people making food and just doing their bit in their country, trying to earn a living. And people in the comments are using it as an excuse to be racist. And this comment just backs all of that up. I think it's sad that black and brown people experience so much racism and then decide to point fingers at each other. But I'm not here to get into that. My point was that every single one of those videos have millions of views and hundreds and thousands of comments, of which most of them are racist towards Indian people. And no matter what anyone says, that racism cannot be justified.
Partner, but the gentleman that I just stitched is 100% correct. When I came to the US, I was 17 in high school. And as I made friends, especially Indian girls, other Indian girls of my age, I realized that we all were given the same speech by our father, which was, we could not date black guys, we could not date Muslim guys, we could not date white dudes.
And I'm telling you, people can deny this as much as I'll talk from my own family. They think black people smell. They think black people are always stealing. Looking at lux, they think black people are corrupt. And you know what they say? It's their culture. It's their culture. Constantly that's who they are. And then when something happens, right? Say there's a robbery. 90% is going to be a black person. Why? Because if you go to India, 90% is going to be Indian people. You're in this land. This is the land you're in. Yes. Like the majority of people is going to be black. I'm not saying Indians and whites don't steal. I'm just giving an example. So they will say, see, that's their job. That's their way. That's who they are. That's their culture. And you're telling me I mustn't be racist. This is the wording. I'm speaking from my truth. This is the wording that goes on in this community. And that's why I'm saying I'm fed up. So I want people watching this to say, do you know the people that you looked up to in the Sahaba and the Tabi'een and many others were of dark skin, darker than your skin, and you show respect to them, but the dark skinned people of this world you look down upon because they have curly hair, because they have darker skin. It doesn't make sense to me. And it's the next generation that I'm seeing. I'm seeing a change in the next generation. And whether they're not marrying, because that's still to come. Like my dad would always say I must marry a black person.
Do you want to? Was that a different conversation?
That's a different conversation. But importantly, that should become the next step, that we start intermarrying and we're spreading Islam just in that similar way. But more importantly is that this kind of the stereotyping, this kind of distaste to someone just because of the color of their skin and a misconception about them.
Guys, today I went to Indian shop to go buy what to eat, food items. So when I got there, I bought 3 sticks or 3 fingers of plantain. Do you understand me? And I brought the plantain home to cook. So after boiling the plantain, I discovered that the plantain was spoiled. Do you understand me? I couldn't eat the plantain. And this wasn't the first time I have experienced such a thing. And most of these Indian shops, they have no respect for African people. And the vast majority of their customers are African people. That is 80% to 90% of their customers are African people, but they have no respect for us. Man, I have bought coconuts several times from them and none was good. I've bought a lot of plantains from them and none was good. There were times I bought egusi, ogbono from them and came home, cooked these food stuffs, and I discovered that they were all spoiled after I've cooked it. Sometimes you buy yams from them, and when you come home and cut the yam, you discover that it is decayed inside. Let me tell you why I'm making this video, because I am upset. You see, these Indian people, if the vast majority of their customers are Europeans, let's say Austrian people, they will be marketing, that is, they will be selling genuine food items to European people. They fear and respect Europeans, but when it comes to black people, they have no respect for us. Do you understand what I mean? And we are the ones giving them money. Do you understand me? I know some people may say, why didn't I go to African shops to go buy? I cannot leave my district and start traveling to another district to go buy food items. And this African food I don't buy it every day. I eat it once or twice a week, sometimes once in 2 weeks. Do you understand me? But what pains me is they have no respect. They sell rubbish, junk foods to black people, to African people. And that has to stop. And if they fail to stop, I will keep making videos like this. Do you understand me? And the next is I will get the police involved. Yes, if they don't stop, I involve the police because they cannot be selling poison to us. I want to end this video here.
I would not recommend going to Delhi.
Okay. Scratch that off.
Because Delhi is also a great cultural vibe, but the people sometimes are very, and especially because you're black, I'm going to tell you there are racists over there who are very much in your face. Like, I'm not even going to lie. There's my black friend from America had come down. He was from Brooklyn and he was visiting Mumbai and he's queer. So he was like, what are the queer hotspots? So I took him to like a bar and everything. And this is in the most uppity part of Mumbai, right? Where all the influential and affluent people come and drink. So we're having a smoke in the balcony and there's a song in India and pardon my words, but in India, Ahe means eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the eyesight.
Okay.
So the song has the word home. So he was saying that verbatim on purpose because there was a black guy and they could say the N word without saying the N word because of the Indian word.
Oh, they try to do that?
My blood was just like curdling, not even boiling. It was just like, I'm like, bro, like, and the girl next to him was like, she was pinching, like, shut the fuck up, don't do this. You know, so that also happens, you know.
As more voices joined the discussion, the debate expanded beyond social media, with many calling for honest conversations, greater accountability, and stronger efforts to challenge prejudice while avoiding unfair generalizations about an entire community.